Hey, welcome to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man, Rod Love, and sitting next to me is none other than the General, Attorney Greg Jackson.
Once again, it's on. Once again, it's on, brother. Hey, man, you know what, man? I was thinking, I was pulling into the parking lot, and I was like, it's been a whole year since I've been here. I ain't been here since 2023.
Man.
So, man, how was the beginning of the year so far, man?
Hey, man, Greg, it's off to a fast start, man. And, normally, Brother Mondo and Doc, Greg laid out, how was the weekend? This was the time to ask me, how was the weekend?
Oh, man, well, how was that weekend, man?
Man, Greg, I got to give it up, man. I mean, this weekend was a full weekend. And to top it off, Sunday, Bishop Derek McCray had Men in Burgundy.
Okay.
And, turnout was excellent. And then Pastor Richard King had Men in Black that afternoon. So the morning was over at Bishop McCray. The afternoon was over at Pastor King. And the turnout, man, was excellent, man. When you talk about men showing up, being present.
Oh, man, outstanding, man. Nah, so that sounds good. So Bishop McCray and so now did they tag team this to do it that way, or
no?
Did it turn out like that?
It turned out that way. Hey, but for some of us, we showed up at Bishop McCray's in Burgundy, and then had to shoot home
and change up.
And Reverend King don't play when he say come in black.
Don't come up in there in your summer blues.
Hey, but you know what? The other thing too, man. Bishop McCray, man, he put out a powerful message, and then Pastor King had Pastor Commissioner Smith, and the New Hope family show up, and Greg, man, he laid this thing out, and the theme was, and I know Pastor King may call in if I get this wrong,
right?
But the theme of what Commissioner Pastor Smith, Alexander Smith, spoke about was men growing up.
Okay.
Men growing up. And man, he broke that thing down. We videoed it, so we gonna put it out there because
get some mileage out of it.
Hey, because when I say he came in hot, he laid it out. He told the young ladies, hey, if you got that man and when he wasn't working, and then you finally get that man, and then all of a sudden you just think he can miraculously start working. Man, he laid some things out, man.
Okay.
He talked about accountability. He talking about men standing up and being accounted for. So, hey, man, I can't wait till we get the footage back, man, so we can go ahead and put that out. That was a heck of a training.
Nah, nice, man. Nice. Sounds like it was, man. Sounds like it was beneficial and everything like that. So,
hey, Pastor King gave him his gave him the agenda, and man, when I tell you he came through, he came through, Greg.
He did his job, huh?
So, Greg, you tell me, man, what has been going on with you, man?
Nah, man, like I said, man, this is the beginning of the year. I haven't been here since 2023. So we're going to ease ourselves into this, man. I'm going to put these training wheels on.
Does Greg Jackson ease off to anything?
I'm going to throw these training wheels on. I'm going to ease. We're going to ease ourselves.
Hey, Mondo Doc, y'all remember I was talking about Attorney Jackson on the show earlier. Man, everybody's sitting back. I told him how Let's Talk Nation has evolved. We got to sit down. We got True Love. I know Doc gonna correct me. What is it? True Love, Real Life?
That sounds right to me.
And then we got the General that's gonna be bringing it. I got time today.
Yeah. I'm gonna have some time for real though. I'm gonna have some time for real.
You gonna have some time for real, Greg?
Yes, sir.
Greg, there's a lot of things going on out there, man.
Man, it is a lot of things going on, but before we get to that, man, we just have to let people know that they're tuned in to two of the most influential voices on Monday night on this podcast. This is Let's Talk Nation, Brother Love and Greg Jackson, the dynamic duo. No, they ain't heard that in a while.
They ain't heard that in a while.
Again, the dynamic duo, guaranteed to raise your IQs 10 to 15 points, Brother Love. And you're right, man. Tonight we have some very interesting things to talk about. And it seems like, Brother Love, because of how things are going, especially over the last 2 to 3 weeks, the news cycle has been Trump. But in the Trump, there's some derivative stories in that that we can hit on and talk a little bit about. But before we get to that, though, Brother Love, we need to talk about a scam that's hitting folks. And I don't know if anyone saw one of my Instagram posts this past week. I want to say it was on Friday or Saturday or something like that. And I went to the bank, and while I was at the bank, it was a young lady at the bank, just standing at the teller, and it was late at night. You saw that on the post, brother Armando? And it was late at night. And no, she's not paying attention. There's no one in her car because I made sure I looked to see if somebody's in the car. Her head is down. She's flipping through her phone and everything like that. And so I made it my business to sit there and make sure that no one came up and did anything to this young lady. And I was like, maybe this is a police sting. Maybe they were hoping somebody to do it. But it just kind of reminded me that, when young ladies and even young men, when you're going out, please be aware of your surroundings.
You're right.
Because someone could have easily have come up, kidnapped this young lady, and she never could have been heard of again. And Florida is, I want to say, third in the nation in terms of human trafficking. So young ladies, please, please, please be careful when you're out and about. Pay attention to your surroundings. And it was honestly concerning to me, Brother Love.
And Greg, I'm glad you brought that up, because some of the principles that I put in place as a father and a husband, to where, man, my wife and kids don't go to ATMs at night.
Right.
Don't go to a gas station to go fill up late at night. If you hadn't gotten it done, earlier during the day, hey, leave that car at home. Or, so there are some things, Greg, I think, just from a safety precaution. But Greg, you know how we do when hurricane season comes around?
Yeah.
Where you have your kit, your plan together.
That's right.
And I am so glad you brought that up, because, Greg, people are doing that on the regular.
Well, but listen, here's the other thing too. So this was her standing outside. I mean, there are other parts of the scam that goes on where, like, a young lady may be out, and that's a good principle to go by, not to be out late at night and things like that, because there's some scams where someone will hit your vehicle, and when you get out to check your vehicle, they'll grab you, they'll snatch you.
Yeah.
And real world, real life stuff. I mean, my daughter, she's up in Tallahassee in school. And apparently, she was not rear-ended, but she was tailgating somebody, or maybe driving a little bit too close. And so whoever the person was that was driving jumps out of the car, like stops in the middle of traffic and jumps out of the car. And my daughter, who I thought I trained better than I did, jumps out the car too. And so I was like, hey, what side of the bed you fell off of this morning? Somebody jump out the car, you jump out too. She might be a Jackson, but she ain't Greg Jackson.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody jump out the car with me, we gonna have us a real conversation. But all jokes aside, she's not thinking.
Yeah.
And so we have to kind of remind ourselves and remind our loved ones, our young women, that this world is not such that you can just do certain things without paying attention. But it also brings me to this other thing, Brother Love. So today, my wife gets a call, and it's my daughter. And so my daughter, she was involved in an accident about 2 weeks ago. And so my daughter calls, and she says, I was just involved in another accident. And so as she's explaining to my wife, hey, I just was involved in another accident, someone all of a sudden grabs a phone and says, we have your daughter, and we're holding her for $10,000. Now, luckily, whoever it was, and thankfully, whoever it was a scam. But the disturbing thing of it is this, Brother Love, is that the voice that my wife heard was our daughter's voice. And our daughter was just recently in an accident, so they were saying stuff that sounds like something that our daughter would have called for. And it reminded me of a scam that started taking place about 2 years ago. And this is real life, people, and I want you all to understand this. And it's where someone gets a call from a loved one. And a lot of times it's a grandmother getting a call from a granddaughter or grandson that they haven't heard from in a while. And they say, oh, Grandma, I'm in a trip and such and such, and I can't get home, or I'm locked up in jail and they won't let me out unless I get, $1,000. And then these people send this money, and then the loved one calls, or they call the loved one's parents and say, hey, I just got a call from such and such, and I sent them some money. It's like, well, you're sitting right here at the table.
Yeah.
This is some real stuff. And this is one of the downsides to AI, artificial intelligence. And I think that you and I were talking also because they're not political ads that are using the actual voices of candidates. And, I've heard some radio personalities that are now saying that they're concerned because now you have AI that's doing actual newscasts and things like that. And so, listen, everybody needs to be very careful about the things that are taking place right now.
Greg, in respect to that, and I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but Greg, we're talking about the evolution of AI.
Yeah.
And so I'm just sitting up here thinking, because, Greg, we started this show 6 and some odd years ago, and we were driven based on solutions. And Greg, how do you combat that? I mean,
the only way to really and truly combat it, Brother Love, is for people to be aware that these things are out there. And the other thing too is that luckily we talk to our daughter enough.
Yeah.
To where we know what she is for the most part. She now knows that if we reach out to her to get back to us as quickly as possible, because let's say if that was true, and and she doesn't communicate with us regularly, and someone does snatch her, and it's like, oh, that's just her, that's just her. But now, luckily we know, hey, if she doesn't get back to us by, this many, there was like, hey, something's not right.
Alert, yeah.
And so, especially like young girls in school, young girls that are away for college, young girls that go off on vacations.
Relating to human
trips.
trafficking.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Natalie Holloway still hasn't been found. Still hasn't been found. Aurelia Thomas, I believe the little young girl, still hasn't been found. I think Natalie Holloway, I think that hers ended up being a murder, but Aurelia, they think that is a part of human trafficking. And so, listen, there was just a story just the other day where it was some young ladies that were in a bar and getting drugged in bars, getting a regular drink, but then they end up getting drugged and taken out. It's a dangerous world out there. It's a dangerous world out there.
But Greg, man, I tell you hitting on some points, because we've also had this conversation, and you recall it, the young lady that went, was it to Mexico or somewhere with her friends? And I mean, Greg, we're vetting our kids' friends, but man, you also gotta be careful and watch your friends too.
Yeah. It's not just the bad guys now, because, well, actually, it is the bad guys, because sometimes your friends can be the bad guys.
Yeah.
And so, listen, we just got to watch our backs, all the way around, man, all the way around. But I thought that it was important, or we thought that it was important for Let's Talk Nation, that we just kind of get that PSA right now. You know what I'm saying?
Let me give you all the even crazier one.
Yeah, what you got?
I was online, and this young lady talked to somebody on social media on Instagram, and the girl was saying, "Oh, I got a Brazilian butt lift, and I went here to Dominican Republic, and they did this, and it only cost me $3,500, and I got this fantastic figure now." So the girl reaches out and contacts them, and they arranged for her to go over there, right? So she got back, she went, had the procedure done, got back to the U.S., and started getting sick about 3 days later. Guess what happened?
What organ did they take, Doc?
The kidney.
Ooh.
They took a kidney. And this actually happened from IG. So, it's all kind of stuff going on online. Even to the point where you can see your profile on somebody else's timeline. You see a copy profile, and matter of fact, when my mom passed last year, someone started a GoFundMe to pay for funeral expenses. And of course, we were livid, and we had to tell everybody, no, Lights don't do GoFundMe. We do insurance.
Right, yeah.
And we told them, do not give to that, because we don't need it. She's covered. Yeah, we got everything taken care of. In fact, her funeral's paid for. So we're not raising money. And you just got to be careful now. I mean, question everything about online.
Yeah. I mean, technology, Brother Love and Dr. Light, technology definitely has its advantages, and we're glad that we have it, because it has made, technology has actually made the world smaller for us. But it also has opened up the world to these criminal-minded folks who can use these things to defraud individuals, to hurt people, to take. I mean, the kidney thing is not a new thing, but the way that they're now playing it is new, because they're using technology to draw more people in that they would not have had access to before.
You're right.
So I mean, listen, for all practical purposes, just stay aware of your surroundings, and question everything that you see on social media.
I thought Doc was about to go in, that another case of Fix Flat. You don't remember the young lady who went in for?
Oh yeah. And they loaded up with that
with Fix Flat.
But she ended up dying though, didn't she?
I don't know.
Either dying on a real bad infection or something.
She got a real bad. Well, she had to be admitted into the hospital, and what we're talking about was a young lady that went in for some cosmetic surgery. She wanted to have a bigger buttock, and she went to this individual, and they actually put Fix Flat
Yeah.
in her butt.
Yeah. Listen, no, let's stay
She
here
did
for a
end
minute.
up
brother.
dying,
She
after
did?
that happened in Miami. She did die.
I thought so. Yeah, I thought so. Let's stay here for a minute, though, Brother Love. Let's stay here for a minute. And Doc Polite and my brother Armando. Let's just say this. Ladies, all of y'all are beautiful. There's no need to go out there and get all of the stuff done. It's ridiculous, Brother Love, that you see young ladies that are in their early 20s already getting cosmetic surgery.
Yeah, you're right.
Already getting cosmetic surgery. And, you know, a lot of that has to do with how people portray themselves on social media with technology and, you know, all of these things. And people are in this race to look like everybody else. And so, I mean, listen, it's, you know, look, you know, I'm gonna have my little pooch gut, no matter how much weight I lose and how big the chest get and the arms get. I'm still, you know, and I'm not going to get no liposuction.
But Greg,
that ain't happening.
but Greg, I mean, I'm glad you pumped the brakes on that, because this is a good place for the conversation. But where do you think that comes from, that people are so driven to where I got to look like this or I got to look like that?
I mean, like, what to say? There's nothing new under the sun. There's literally nothing new under the sun. The only thing that has come about is the method in which it's being done. The way that a person perceives themselves has always been driven by society.
Yeah.
Regardless of what people, it's always been driven by society. But now, because of what social media has done and has opened up the world so much, now everyone sees how easy it is to get. Instead of going in the gym, I mean, what you were waking up, 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning?
Yeah, I was doing that at one point.
Yeah, I mean, listen, instead of waking up 4:30 in the morning and going to the gym, now the answer is, let me go find a doctor that's going to suck this fat out.
Yeah.
Instead of going to work it out.
Hey, Doc, Mondo, y'all notice Greg mentioned when I started going, getting my personal trainer to, get me tightened up at 4 o'clock in the morning. But, Greg started this whole thing by, showing the pictures of him in his garage doing push-ups. With
One-arm push-up. Listen. I had to stop doing that, man. I almost broke my arm one time.
No, Greg. Boy, Greg started flexing, man. We had people calling in to the show saying, man, is Greg doing pull-ups, man, with one arm? Hey, stop making me get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So,
see, hey, listen, that's what it is, man. That's what it is. When, we see each other, this is like, I want to look like that, I want to be like that. What you got, Doc?
Hey, y'all need to get on the program I'm on.
What
program that is?
What's that, PX?
Let go and let God.
Let go.
It ain't messing with Dr.
Yeah.
Hey, no, for real though. I'm down. At one point I weighed 300 pounds. People don't.
When?
I got pictures.
When?
I show them to you.
Doc showed me. Doc, yeah.
Like, since I known you?
Yes. Oh no. You met me after.
Yeah, because we met in 14.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was right before that though, about a year before that, Greg.
Hey, Doc, we got an anniversary coming up.
Listen,
Hey,
but
Rod, we ever told you about how we met?
no.
The same way you and me met. Almost identical. He was on one side of the not on the different side of the aisle, but with a different camp when I was running, and they started watching me. He was like, "I like this guy."
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was so impressed. I said, "Man, I got to meet this dude." So I got a hold of him, and we met at Wingstop right there on OBT, and we sat down, and I said, "Man," it's very rare that I come across a man with your character, your level of charactership, and I want to work with you. I said, now I usually charge everybody else. I said, when you find me, I'm gonna work with you. And I got this was matter of fact, this was before I had my hip replaced.
Yep.
I was and I was limping, and I limped right along with Greg. We did some miles.
Man.
Him and my nephew.
Yep. Listen, man. That's why anything Doc asked me to do, man. Because Doc was true to his word. Doc, we sat down and we sat down and we talked. And I remember that. And Doc said, "Look, anything I can do for you," he said, "I'm with you."
See, I didn't know that. I didn't know. So our stories are similar.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I introduced you to.
Yeah.
And then, hey, I introduced them to Brother Armando. Now they don't invite me to the little boat parties.
Listen to him.
Man,
And out there doing boat parties and barbecues and everything out there in the wilderness. They want to invite me now.
Yeah, he be doing pull-ups with one arm. Hey, but you know the interesting thing is, Mayor Brian Nelson is the one that put me and Greg together.
Yep, that's right, man.
Well, I tell you. But hey, but you know what? Let me get us back on track because there's some good news out there that's taking place. Greg.
It depends on how you look at it now.
Oh, well, I guess so.
Depends
But
how you look at it.
but our job is to inform people. But Greg,
Yeah.
man, can you hit on the Trump and Haley piece?
Listen, man. So first and foremost, man, because this does kind of bring us full circle because we kind of met in these under these guises of politics, and so this pulls us right into that. And so and the storyline goes, Brother Love, and then there were two.
And then there were two.
And so right now, Brother Love, there has been a shakeup with regards to the candidates for the GOP for the Republican nomination for president. Governor Ron DeSantis dropped out of the race not too long ago. Chris Christie dropped out a little bit before that. Vivek Ramaswamy dropped out around about the same time. All but Chris Christie out of that bunch have put their backing behind Donald Trump. When Tim Scott got out, he put his put his endorsements to Donald Trump. I don't think Mike Pence has said anything one way or the other. But, the theme here is that the ones who stuck in there the longest are now turning and giving their support to Donald Trump. But Nikki Haley, Brother Love, is still in this race and staying in this race. And the GOP is asking her, why are you still here? And some believe that she is damaging her political future because she is continuing to challenge Donald Trump.
Because the next primary is South Carolina, right?
The next one's Nevada.
Oh, no. Oh.
The next one's Nevada. And then South Carolina comes in March, which is a Super Tuesday around that time frame.
Greg, do you think she's going to be able to survive till March?
Well, the word that we're getting the word that we've heard is that she's going to be staying in the race at least through to South Carolina.
But the only way that could take place, Greg, and you and I both know this. I mean, Doc, Greg, the only way she does that is funders continue to write checks.
But the problem is funders probably will not continue to write checks. So you heard what your boy Donald Trump said, right?
Oh, yeah, that anybody who donates to her campaign will be locked out of MAGA.
MAGA camp. No,
MAGA
MAGA camp. MAGA camp. So if y'all ain't know, there's a MAGA camp out there. And, I don't know who's a part of it, but apparently if you do anything to support Nikki Haley, then you'll be booted out of MAGA camp.
To hear that, I mean, let's stay there for 1 second. The first time I heard it, because we know that stuff happens. But to hear it said that anybody else that donates to her
Right.
will be permanently locked out of MAGA camp.
But now think about this now, brother. Why is it that he can say that?
Because, I mean, come on, let's look at it. Look at the margins. Just look at the margins.
He right now, and it shouldn't surprise us, Brother Love. It really shouldn't surprise us. From the beginning, Donald Trump has been embroiled in legal case after legal case, litigation after litigation. And, any normal candidate or any normal person that is faced with those things would have either dropped out of the race or would have lost support left and right. For some reason, Brother Love, every time there was an indictment against Donald Trump, his poll numbers went
Not only his poll numbers, what else went up?
his donations went up.
Yeah.
And not just money from big donors, because initially the big donors were staying away from him because of that. It was the small $5, $10, $20 donations that continued to sustain his campaign when everybody else was pulling back. Donald Trump, this is unprecedented, Brother Love. This has never happened before. These are things we never seen happen before. So Donald Trump is the first president or first individual ever to be impeached twice. So let's just get that out of the way. He's the first former president to ever be indicted. Let's get that out of the way.
How many times?
4 times.
4 times.
He's on the 4th time now. But now there are issues with the indictments, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Donald Trump, Brother Love, is probably the first ever candidate for a major political race with legitimate challengers or legitimate opponents to that race who never showed up at a debate, and his poll numbers continued to go up, his support continued to go up, and his donations continued to go up.
And his margins in terms of his polling, Greg, has been been lead
Double digits.
Yeah, double digits.
Double digits. And so the reason why Trump can say what he says, Brother Love, is because now people are believing that not only is he going to be the nominee for the Republican Party, but that Donald Trump is going to be the next president
You're
of the
right.
United States.
But they're saying that, and let's put it that, when you said we're going to raise folk IQ tonight,
Yeah.
you were right on point, because when you have the what I call mainstream talking heads that
Right.
start airing their concern with the fact that Democrats are looking at President Biden and saying, what are you bringing to the table?
Right.
And
Right.
so while you have, and this is just my thoughts, while you have your core staunch Democrats out there that they're not going to vote for a Republican, the other side of that coin is they may stay at home.
Which is the biggest concern. That is the biggest concern for us Democrats this election cycle, the presidential election cycle. And I've not been I've not been shy about saying from Jump Street that I was not a supporter of Joe Biden, President Biden. I just wasn't. I didn't think that Joe Biden was the right person for the office, for the leader of the free world, for the office holder of the highest office in the world. I just knew back in 2016, when Joe Biden was 76 at the time, that, or maybe a little bit older than that he was not the right person for the job. I didn't think his age. I thought his age was an impediment. I thought that his history was an impediment, because remember, I pulled up where Joe Biden said things about African American males.
You're right.
That was
You're right.
offensive. When I would say it, there were people who would try to attack me on social media, which I happily took.
But then when they went back to look at the receipts,
Yeah.
they saw it was correct.
They saw that it was correct. I thought that Joe Biden, based on other things that we had heard that started to come to fruition, when we talk about the $1 billion that he withheld from the Ukrainian government because they were having an investigation into a company that his son was a part of, I thought that was problematic, and it's becoming more and more problematic as the days go on. It was just so many things about Joe Biden that I did not like, but even though I didn't like the things that I saw about Joe Biden, I still predicted that he was going to be the Democratic nominee.
You did do that. I'll give it to you. You did do that. But Greg, here's some of the things. Fast forward to the day.
Right.
And fast forward in particular to a population of people, and I'm talking about black males.
Okay.
When you look at the polling of black males right
Right.
now, you see that black males aren't lock, stock, and barrel on board with Democrats.
You know the funniest thing I heard after Biden beat Trump?
What's that?
The funniest thing I heard, Brother Love and Brother Armando and Dr. Polite, listen to this. This is a joke. This is a joke. Trump only got 17% of the black male vote.
Only 17%.
He shouldn't have got any of the black. That was the reason why it was so funny is that before that, Republicans running for president probably only got 3 to 5% of the black male votes.
But then they put it in the context only 17.
He shouldn't have gotten 17% from Democrats. Democrats should have been embarrassed. We as Democrats, let me say it like that. We as Democrats, and I was embarrassed. I'm gonna say that. We as Democrats should have been embarrassed that Trump was able to pull away 17% of the African American male black votes. And even now today, Brother Love, and we talked about this either in late November, early December. The leader or the president of Black Lives Matter in Rhode Island actually endorsed Donald Trump because he said that the Democrat Party doesn't care about African American issues or black issues. And we've been talking about this for so long, Brother Love, until it's embarrassing that we're still having to say this and people still challenge us on this. But the Democrats have taken full advantage of African American voters.
To where they don't even go and engage.
They put no effort into getting the black vote. They come out around election time. They come to the churches. They stand up. They
come to the church.
They might not. That's a good point. That's a great point. They may do a little hallelujah dance and all this other stuff, and then they leave. You never see them again until it's time to elect him again.
But then you also look at the investment or the lack thereof. I should say, and I'm not saying this, Greg, because I want them to do better. No, go ahead and keep doing doing what you're doing.
Yeah, you'll say that.
Keep
Yeah, you'll
doing
say
what you're
that.
doing. But you know what, Greg? I bring up. You familiar with who Charlemagne the God is?
Yeah, from the Breakfast Club. Yeah.
So you got Charlemagne the God, who has a huge following from the Breakfast Club, and so he lays it out that he's been getting a lot of calls on his show, and he said he was really amazed at one of the topics that has been focused on more so than anything else, and that topic was the lack of Democrats, the lack of this president on focusing on solutions as it relates to the immigration, the border crisis that we have.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Right now, it's ridiculous. And the fact that Marie Jean-Pierre, who is the I forget what the title is. The White House correspondent, whatever. The fact that she can stand there and say that there's no problem or no issues at the border is embarrassing. It's absolutely ridiculous. There is clearly an issue that's taking place at the border.
So what took place in New York, right, with the public school system, right?
Yeah, when they shut down the schools so that the migrants could come and stay in the school.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
But that's a result of the fact that they ran out of hotel space.
Right. You mean the ones that they're paying millions and millions of dollars for?
Yeah.
And you have U.S. military veterans who are homeless that serve this country honorably, and they can't find a place to stay in New York. But if you come to this country illegally, you can go to New York and you can have a nice, and not only, Brother Love, they're not putting them up in the Come On In motel. These aren't red roof inns that they're putting these people up in. These are 4 to 5 star accommodations that they're putting illegal immigrants in, while people in New York, veterans, people who pay taxes, are homeless or struggling. It's absolutely ridiculous.
You see, and I don't know if it's California, New York, where
Probably both. Whatever you're about to say is probably both.
Probably both. where they were mandating that the hotels provide them, and I don't know if this is a local ordinance or a state ordinance, but provide them their occupancy rate at the end of the day. And you know what that was for, right? Because if they're providing their occupancy rate and you see hotels with a high vacancy.
Right. Oh, they know where to send them.
They give them the voucher.
They know where to send them.
And so if you give a person a voucher and the hotel refuses to admit you, then now you got, and that goes into your bailiwick, Greg, a legal issue.
But listen, though, and here's the thing, and I don't understand, I don't know what planet I've landed on at this juncture, but I don't understand why people don't understand that when you take resources and give them to people who don't work, don't pay taxes into the system to provide for these services, why is it that you're not standing on your head saying, listen, this is our money? But I take that back. They have been standing on their head in Chicago. They have been standing on their head in New York.
Oh, they're standing on their head now, though.
Right. But the politicians. I mean, Eric Adams, who is the mayor of New York. Remember, he was the one that said, "Send them to us. We're a sanctuary city."
Now, what is he saying?
Now he begging them. What was that? That scene in Low Down Dirty Shame when Jada Pinkett said, "Oh, you're gonna be begging the homies to get off your behind." Now they begging the homies. Now they begging them to come and get to stop sending sending the buses there. It's ridiculous what's taking place right now.
And so the ask of the federal government right now is to help us. But when you're asking the federal government for that help, Greg, you're basically asking the people.
That's right, because that's who funds the government.
Exactly.
Through their taxes. And New York and California, two of the two highest tax states in the country.
And let me make sure that nobody's mistaken what we're saying here. We're saying, and we've had folk come on the show, and the only thing that we're saying is do it right.
Yeah.
Do it right.
But listen, but the people who have come to this country and gone through the immigration system and have done things the right way, they are upset. Because they're saying, listen, we spent money, we spent time, we came here, we did it the right way, and everything like that. And now you have people that are coming who don't do it the right way. They are illegally coming into a country that we fought so hard to get into and to be a part of.
Paul Billings.
Yeah.
A good friend of ours, good friend of the show.
Chief Billings.
Chief, that's right. You're
Chief
right.
Billings,
Chief Billings.
yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, because we have a real good brother partnership. Paul Billings is the owner of The Wire 98.5. And Paul
Also the producer of the Heart and Soul Festival.
producer of the Heart and Soul, and then The Wire is also out of
Not Detroit, but somewhere in Michigan.
What do you call it? It's out of Michigan.
Yeah, I can't.
But he's in 3 locations. I can't Muskogee, Michigan, and Grand Rapids, Michigan, and then he also has the Wire here in Orlando, 98.5.
Right.
But last week, Paul called me up, and I can't. Greg, all these weeks are running together now. But I was doing something last week, and Paul called and asked me this one question. And Greg, I took a page out of your playbook. He said, man, what would you say is the single most critical issue facing Black people today? And Greg, my response was real simple, man. Our inability, man, to circle our wagons and stay focused on an agenda,
right.
One agenda item. We get too easily distracted by all trying to go and address everybody else's agenda and not focus on accomplishing just one of ours.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when I look at what's taking place with the border, the lack of border control, when I look at, man, we can't get folk right now, supposedly the border control budget issue is falling apart.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though, Brother Love, and this is a challenge that we have as African Americans, whether we are Democrat, Republican, whether we are young or old. There is really no real Black agenda. But there shouldn't really be a Black agenda. Because just like not all white folks have the same issues and concerns, and not all Hispanics have the same issues and concerns, and not all Asians have the same issues and concerns, we as Black people, we live in different areas. We have different backgrounds. We have different likes and dislikes and things like that. I think that what we really should be looking at, though, Brother Love, if there is an agenda, if there is an issue that we need to focus on, it all turns and revolves around economics. If you go to and you point to economics all day, every day, it will resolve most, if not all, the issues that we have, if that was the focus of Black community.
On the sit down, I'm glad you brought that up, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got time because Greg would normally let us get here.
Time. I got time. We ain't got time.
You got time. You got time. All right. Man, you hit it on the head because was having this conversation earlier with the fact that, we navigated through the first task force, Popka Task Force on Violence. And while what brought us together was, unfortunately, man, a series of killings that took place in less than 8 days.
That's right.
Mayor Nelson, Brian Nelson,
at the time was commissioner. Yeah,
was a commissioner, and he called us and said, "Hey, man, we got to do something about this." But that task force included community members.
That's right.
And we didn't just focus on crime; it was driven by economic development.
It's multidisciplinary. Yeah.
And so when you look at that, and this is where I'm kind of focusing and navigating to, Greg. We continue to have the same conversation, and I'm not going to name these communities, but communities that have issues. When we talk about food deserts, when we talk about lack of housing, or I want to say workforce housing.
Yeah, affordable housing, workforce housing. Yeah.
So, but when we talk, all that stuff revolves around economic development.
Brother Love, when I was in college, I'm convinced now. Brother Love, I'm fully convinced that I've always been a genius.
Okay.
This didn't just develop 20 years ago. I'll
second that too.
I've always been a genius. Because when I was in college, I asked the question, and I don't know what class it was in, and then we were going through the split, and I asked the question, I said, what is it that politics can do that money can't?
Make the rules, but go ahead. I want to hear this.
Money makes the rules. Because think about it. If you have enough money, you can do what? Look at George Soros.
You're right.
The agenda of the Democratic Party, if we really and truly look at it, is based on billionaires who finance campaigns where they've gone around the country and they have put attorneys generals or DAs in different areas to where they change how the one particular issue, which is death penalty or things like that.
Yeah.
Money did that. Money controlled the politics behind that. Name me one thing, Brother Love.
You're right.
That politics can do that money can't.
That's true. Money is a driver.
Right. And so that's why I say if we take our energies and we focus on the economic component of how do we build and grow communities, I think that solves our problems. We don't have to go to government to build this, that, or another because we have the funds to do it ourselves. You never hear Asian Americans saying this is our agenda. You never hear Hispanic Americans say this is our agenda. But I guarantee you, if you go any person that comes to this country illegally, they're coming here because of the economics.
You're right.
And what they do is they take that money and they send it back to people in their country, their families, or they go and they move into a house. And I'm not being funny. I'm being 100% honest right now. So if I offend anybody, I'm very sorry. But I remember we went looking for a house. By we, I mean me and my wife. We went looking for a house. And I forget the area that it was in, but it was in a nice area. And so we looking at this house and we had to go inside. And the people who lived in the house apparently didn't leave. Because, like when people come to look at your house, you're supposed to get up out the house. Yeah. I promise you, Brother Love, we walked into the house, a very nice house. Dark, though. It was dark up in there. It was a nice house, nice neighborhood, but it was dark in there. We walk in there, and I promise you, it was a 3-bedroom house. There were probably 15 to 16 Asians in there. 15 to 16 Asians in there. Now, what were they doing in there? Let me tell you what they were doing. They were saving their money because someone had a restaurant. The other ones were trying to build and develop, because I had to ask a question, and they were trying to build revenue and have money for themselves so they could build a restaurant or some business like a nail salon or something like that. They came together and they pooled their money together so that they could build their own area.
What do they call it, Greg?
Crowdfunding. Listen, there is a Korean restaurant called Shinjung. Y'all go check it out. And if you go there, tell them Greg Jackson and Brother Love sent you. And maybe they'll let y'all have egg roll for free. I don't even think they serve egg rolls. Maybe they'll give you an egg roll. Shinjung, Brother Love. It's been there for years. I started going there when I first moved to Orlando. But Shinjung burnt down. Maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. Burnt down. Something happened in the kitchen, burnt down to the ground. Shinjung, the owners of the business, did not have insurance.
No?
No insurance. Shinjung didn't put up a GoFundMe. Shinjung leaned on people in the Asian American community that's right there along Colonial. Shinjung was back up and running and in business within 9 months with a fully rebuilt kitchen, fully redesigned without having any insurance.
Leaned on the resources from within.
In that community. They rebuilt their own community. They didn't go and ask government for anything. They didn't go and do no fish fries and all this other stuff. They built from within because every Asian American business along that corridor is successful. So if one fails, the others are going to come and help them build up. Someone said something ingenious, Brother Love, and this is a place I want to be in. And I want to say it was Dame Dash. All right, they used to be with Rockefeller Records, and you may have heard this, Brother Armando. But Dame Dash said, if you help 10 people become millionaires, and something ever happens to you, you can go to those millionaires and ask them for 10% of whatever they have, and you become a millionaire again. Man. That's what we're missing in the black community. We've forgotten that if we build each other up, if one of us fails, we can lean on each other to build back up.
Great. The example, and I'm glad you brought that up. The example.
Yeah.
Was it Maynard Jackson?
Oh, stop 1 second, Brother Love. I got to do this.
What's that?
My aunt from Brunswick, Georgia has joined us. Okay. I didn't even know she knew how to do Facebook, Brother Love. I didn't even know it. My aunt from Georgia has joined us. I'm so happy to see. I ain't going to call her name because she might get embarrassed and y'all might know who she is, but I know my aunt from Brunswick, Georgia has joined us.
Now, tuned in.
And I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you. But I'm sorry, Brother Love.
No, hey, man, shoot. Hey, Greg, what's that? 22 million and one?
Yeah.
Brunswick, Georgia.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, 22 million and one.
Greg, to your point, was it Maynard Jackson out of Atlanta?
Out of Atlanta, yeah.
Who is responsible, man, for creating millionaires when it came to the development of the airport.
Yeah.
But that was given opportunity, though.
Yeah.
Given opportunity.
But look at what Atlanta is, though. If take everything away from what Atlanta has become and what we think Atlanta is now. Atlanta, Houston, to an extent, Chicago, these are areas where you have true and significant African-American wealth.
Yeah.
But
there are very few places that you can go in this country where you can point and say this is an African-American affluent area. What you got, Doc? I'm sorry.
The first person to do it was Marion Barry. Remember how he had D.C.?
Out of D.C.?
Yeah. He was one of the first black mayors that actually started making millionaires. and giving those contracts and opening the door for African Americans, and
And
it was
Doc,
so effective. They had to catch him in the hotel room smoking crack.
hey, but Doc,
Yeah.
I like that we're having this conversation, and you're absolutely correct. I just want to correct just a little vernacular when you use the word give,
Right, right.
because
Well, I
those-
mean, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Awarded the contract.
yeah, and so
But
I'm
he
with you,
left
Doc.
the playing field so qualified
Yes.
entities could, who had been marginalized and blackballed really from getting
And kept away and kept out of the process.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, basically open the door to the boardrooms.
Right. So I mean, so when we go back to, and that's why I kind of struggle with, having an agenda in the black community. I always struggle with that because I understand why it's said. Listen, I understand fully why it's said, but I think we need to move away from having an agenda and focus on economics and how we rebuild our communities, because I think that economic development, and that's that's what we always talked about. The root of violence and crime in the community is lack of economic opportunity and poverty.
And you're absolutely correct, Greg. And let me just say to you my orientation. I grew up in Miami doing the Mario boat lift.
I remember that. Oh yeah,
And so back in the 80s, African Americans were the leading minority population in Miami and growing.
yeah.
And then the Mario boat lift took place, which by chance, man, I grew up with some Cubans, man, that grew to be my good friends.
Right.
But something that I saw take place, Greg, in Miami is, man, that Hispanic community, as they continued to grow, they didn't make any excuses for bringing one another on. And when Doc mentioned the word
No doubt.
give, and I know Doc, it was just a slip, but man, those folk were qualified. They sharpened, Greg,
Iron sharpens iron.
Iron sharpened iron. And man, before you knew it, you look at what Miami is today.
Little Havana.
Little Havana.
Yeah.
And so when I say agenda, and I'm with you, Greg, the agenda to me means, man, looking at how do we open up those doors to those boardrooms to continue to walk in there prepared and ready to advance, because you are, I mean, if you look at that doggone task force report that we did, that we even created a white paper on that thing, remember?
Yep. Yep.
And it was all about economic development. And Greg, you are right to the point. If you look at, politics or having some resources, some money, man, the money forms
All day, every day.
All day, every day.
All day, every day. I mean, listen, the lifeblood of, like they say, the lifeblood of any campaign is money. Mm-hmm. That's it. I mean, as an attorney, I got a job at a law firm one time because they said, well, what do you think about billing? You know what I'm saying? Because as a defense attorney, that's one of the things you have to be good at billing. That's how the firm makes money. And I said, listen, I don't have any problem with billing. I said, because the billing is the lifeblood of a firm.
That's it.
Man, before I could get to the airport, good, they called me and offered me the job, because like this guy, he understands what this is all about, and that's what rebuilding communities is about. And that's why I say, for me, a lot of times I want to move away from what can government do and start focusing more so on what can we do.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I kind of, like I said, I kind of struggle, Brother Love, when we talk about what's the agenda of the black folks. But I get it. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in the 70s. I get it. I understand it. We had to have something that was going to pull us together and coalesce us together. But this is a time, Brother Love, where I think it's very clear what needs to be done in order to build sustainable communities, particularly where and I don't want to say black communities. I want to say build sustainable communities where African Americans are.
You're right. And Greg, you are a movie buff, because I know you.
I love movies.
You could go and take a movie and relate it to motivation of life.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go to the sports side. Man, you remember when Shaquille O'Neal, and everybody probably remember this. If you don't remember it, all you got to do is fast forward and look at him today. When he was being interviewed, and the interviewer said, man, you just want to be rich? And Shaq said, no, I don't want to be rich. I want to be wealthy.
Yeah.
And he said, there's a difference.
There's a difference.
And so, man, all about economic development. And this guy, post NBA career is doing better post NBA career than he did in the NBA. Magic Johnson.
No, look, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan makes more money in retirement than he did playing basketball.
What he sold that team for $3 point some odd billion dollars.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing it the right way. But, and then people turn around because, listen, I mean, if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it. How many multi-millionaires has sports created?
You're right.
And how many of those millionaires that sports has created look like you and me? Mm-hmm. And how many of those individuals that sports has made into a millionaire have come back and have developed and turned whole communities into economic development centers? Now, there's a difference between going back and putting a house there and this and that. Mm-hmm. But how many of them have taken that money and created economic development centers in a community?
I see where you're going here now.
Not many.
Yeah.
Not any.
Yeah. Any.
Well, no, I'll take that back. Magic Johnson has. Magic Johnson has. I would say that Shaquille O'Neal is doing a doggone good job.
I've been sitting next to this cat for a long time, and I knew what he was doing. He was pulling that sword out. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. But listen, that's where I think the focus should be, economic development, and we. The other thing too, Brother Love, and I know I'm going to regret saying this, Brother Love. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people think the only way that you can make money is by going to school.
Hey,
a lot of times people think the only way. My uncle, and thank goodness that my aunt jumped on. It was her brother-in-law, not hers. My other aunt. I don't see her jumping on here, but my uncle, who was my aunt, who's on here, her brother-in-law, and I think even her husband. But I don't want to say it because I don't know for certain. But I know my uncle didn't graduate from high school. Mm-hmm. And he built one of the most successful businesses in Brunswick, Georgia. Actually, 2 or 3 businesses in Brunswick, Georgia that you ever want to see. Property, money in the bank. First person I ever seen, Brother Love, in the 1970s with a real phone in his car.
Man.
Not like what we did when I was in college, where you take the phone out and you can't hold up too high because the cord hang out.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a real live phone in his car.
Man.
Had motorcycles. Him and my other uncle, my aunt, had motorcycles. Took vacations with the family.
Man.
Things like that. Had a 6th grade education, if I remember right. You don't have to always go to school to be successful. And I think in some ways, school actually stifles some people's creativity to where they can't be the successes that they are. And so the point that I'm making this too is that sometimes we have to support those individuals. Well, I think it was just you that was saying, if you find a guy who hasn't had a job, don't be surprised you don't have a job. Mm-hmm. But you find a guy who doesn't have a job, but he has vision.
Yeah.
You find a guy who doesn't have a job, but he has vision, and he's working towards that vision. You got to support that person.
And Greg, I guess it can be summed up that, man, you got a lot of folk that's not looking for a job.
Hold on, brother. Hold on.
We got somebody else?
Your main man that jumped on.
Who is that? Is that?
It's the state attorney that jumped on.
Okay.
And he's making a great point. State Attorney Bain is saying that you have to have more public-private partnerships.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what Doc was talking about with what Marion Barry was doing or started in D.C. Mm-hmm. And that's absolutely right. You have to have those relationships because even though there's not anything that I think politics can do that money can't. Where it's needed, politics can bring about equity, not equality, but equity.
Equity, yeah.
To where individuals who did not have an opportunity to participate in certain things can now do so with a public-private partnership.
But a true public-private partnership. And, one of the things that I'm glad State Attorney Bain has jumped on, but Greg, and you saw it, he did something about 3-4 weeks ago.
I saw it.
I
wasn't invited, but I saw it. I'm just kidding.
Hey, boy, he's in rare form. He said he hadn't been here in 2024 yet, but boy, he's back. But yeah, he did a de-escalation training about 4 weeks ago, but he's also having dialogue and discussion about how do he incorporate financial literacy in dealing with some of the issues that he's dealing with, I get from the juvenile delinquency side, but also from the adult side.
Yeah.
If he can get people equipped to where they understand the financial literacy aspect of their life, maybe they won't be coming through those doors.
Brother Love, you would be shocked, if not surprised. Or you'll be surprised, if not shocked, if you knew the number of people that could not do something as simple as balance a checkbook. Their own personal finances, the budget for their home, what it takes to run just their household. You would be shocked and surprised at how many people can't do that. And so financial literacy is key. I mean, you don't have to do it on the macro scale, but on the micro scale, how important is it to know how you can budget your money to live from month to month?
But that's why those public-private partnerships, Greg, are so important. But you got to have the courage to do it. Greg, I know we're getting close to wind down, but I got to get a couple of things out. This Thursday, at the City of Apopka VFW Violence Against Women, the Department of Housing and Urban Development is sponsoring it. Mayor Brian Nelson with the City of Apopka is hosting it. The sister, Leona Thornton, is going to be the keynote speaker, and she is the sister of Sharika Rucker, who we
talked about not too long ago.
We had her family
unfortunately,
here.
we had to talk,
Yeah. So that's taking place this Thursday from 1 o'clock to 4:30. Please, if you have the time, come in and learn about the resources that are out there and learn about what's taking place in homes as it relates to the help you can get with domestic violence. Also, on February the 6th, the Florida Economic Consortium is going to be hosting with one of your colleagues, Greg, Miss Nikosha Anderson, Esquire. She's going to be giving a lesson for not-for-profits on 5 things you need to know in business.
Outstanding.
Greg, this is, you and I, we've been talking about the diversity of Let's Talk Nation for a long time.
Absolutely.
We're going to have Carl Nichols and some of the Kappas. I know you're an alpha man.
See, we don't even use dirty words like that around me, man. We don't even use dirty words like that.
Hey, but we're going to have the Kappas.
My red Kool-Aid ain't even red.
Your red Kool-Aid ain't even red.
I'm just kidding, man.
But we're going to have the Kappas in, man, and they're going to be having a sit-down, man, and just talking about what they're doing as it relates to impacting communities. Greg, talk about the barbershop.
So listen, man, we did this back in October, I believe it was, where we had a barbershop talk with the members of Delta Xamdallah alumni chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha, the first and the greatest black African-American fraternity, but we'll leave that right where it lies. And we had a great conversation about politics and educating people on politics and different things like that. And so we're going to be doing a follow-up to that. And it's not just going to be the alphas this time. It's going to be alphas, kappas, omegas, sigmas.
All right.
We're gonna ask the elders. We're gonna ask everyone to come and join and be a part of the next conversation.
What was the barbershop?
I can't remember, man. Something Weston Kennedy, wasn't it?
Weston Kennedy.
Was it Weston Kennedy? Yeah, Kennedy and Weston Kennedy, and Winter Park. That's right. And so I forget the owner's name. I think his name was John or something. But we want to thank him for opening up his doors. And we're going to be back continuing the conversation about educating ourselves on the political process.
Greg, got to give a shout out to Pinto, man, for just
Brother John Ellis, Brother Battles, I mean they came through and they came with some great ideas and everything like that.
Open and frank conversation, man.
Absolutely, much needed.
Greg, man, I mean, we just got some things lined up, man. I'm just excited, man. You talking about? Man, we're in the 2024. We almost in the February already now.
Yeah, man. That's what I say. So the next couple of months or so, man, we're going to be hitting hard on education. On politics and educating yourselves on the political process. And I have a slight prediction, Brother Love.
What's that?
Right now, I think I have a prediction. I think that Donald Trump's running mate, the vice president, the VP selection is going to be Nikki Haley.
You okay? Well. I'll counter you.
Listen. Think about that relationship between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris now.
Okay, but I'm gonna throw this out because I know we got less than 30 seconds. You say Nikki Haley. I saw somebody just propose to somebody, so I think it's gonna be your lookalike, your twin.
Can't be.
Can't be. Mm-mm. Okay.
Can't be. It's gonna be a female.
Well, yeah. Okay.
And it should be Tulsi Gabbard, but she ain't ready for yet. She's not ready yet.
All right.
Nikki Haley is gonna be Donald Trump's running mate.
Hey, well, I tell you what, y'all got to tune in next week so you can see the to be continued part of this. But Brother Jackson, man, I tell you, I'm just loving this, man. We going 6.5 years strong.
Man, yes, sir.
Well, brother, you know how this ends, man. You do not have to go home.
But you got to get out of here.
Hey, we'll see y'all next week. Tune in to Let's Talk Nation. We love to have you.